Here we go. All right, we're here with Scott Sedey, one of the four finalists for the APL Championship this year. We're going to start with questions about the beginning of the season, the draft. You grabbed two monsters, Derrick Henry and Calvin Ridley. Talk about the process you went through to identify their talent and the skill that was required to get them on your team.
Yeah, the skill was not having a high pick. So Henry just was the target I was hoping to be able to get at the ninth pick. Hindsight, it came down to Henry or Dalvin. So hindsight, maybe it wasn't the best pick. Maybe it will turn out to be something that works out in the end. I guess we'll see. So I think it's fairly close to a toss-up between the two.
Nice. So you're like world famous for your drafting skills. I'd say aside from those two monsters, there's not much else other than OBJ and Galladay getting hurt. What went wrong?
Yeah, getting enamored with the hopes of Clyde being a monster when he really wasn't. That threw off the second round where I could have taken – the plan all along was to take two running backs, and I could have been safer and just taken a Nick Chubb and known that what I was going to get likely other than injury or swing for the fences and not have a real reliable starter. But yeah, other than that, the wide receivers was just a downfall. It was it turned into a debacle, even though it felt really good at the time of having three guys that could have been all top level starters that just with injuries ended up not turning out. And yeah, I think that was just bad luck. I think I think when I was at that turn, I had opportunities between OBJ, Galladay, I think was Amari and AJ Brown were like the four that were there. And obviously I chose the worst combination of the four.
So one specific issue after the draft was quarterback. Breeze and Wentz didn't quite work out. You spun the QB wheel for a few weeks and mostly hit on pretty good performances. What was the anxiety like each week, hoping you picked a good guy?
I mean, it was early, so you still have a lot of time to figure. And like I said, I was winning more than losing, so it wasn't panic mode of being 1-4 or 0-5 because you can't figure it out compared to just continually to be competitive. So it wasn't like disastrous, but it was unsettling to just having to figure out the new plan every week based on just who was playing the worst team or who was going to have to throw the most that could at least put something together.
So the unsettled feeling stopped in week 7. You turned to Justin Herbert as the guy, and he's pretty much delivered. So has it been fun watching the rookie post pretty impressive totals?
Yeah, I mean, it's the benefit similar with a lot of situations, finding a solid quarterback in a situation where they have to score because they're a terrible team and they're going to be losing more times than not. It works in a lot of fantasy situations, and it just ended up being that it worked out here. It has worked out here.
It's worked. So you made some in-season trades. They basically sum up to an 8th, 9th, and a 10th for Hawkinson and 4 weeks of Will Fuller. Totally worth it?
I mean, separating them apart, the Hawkinson one was definitely worth it because I think that one's definitely delivered. The Fuller one was just unfortunate. I mean, it would have been fine and would have helped a lot more than it ended up dealing. And the last one was just a risk reward. A 10th round pick for Mixon and Sharks seemed like little to give with more to gain, but it's been little gained out of it anyway.
So you grabbed Hawkinson before he really was what he is. What stood out to him? Why did you target him? Why'd you want him?
Well, I mean, because the pool of tight ends was so shallow to start with, there wasn't, and then basically teams that were selling, all of the teams that were willing to sell, I think it was between Hawkinson or I think it was like Jaceki or someone else from Miami that I was looking at from between, Corey or Ryan who were already selling people. So it was just kind of a toss up between those two to see. I think both. I mean, Hawkinson's been better. Jaseki's been fine, but streakier. So I mean, I don't know what the answer is exactly.
So, given the questions above, and I'm giving you some shit, but it's still pretty impressive that you have the fourth highest point total in the league. Talk about your confidence in your team going forward.
Well, I think at this point it's down to just if it will happen or not. It's kind of the luck of the draw. We're down to 4 teams that are, I think Kevin has a better team, but at this point, anyone could put up 1,300, 1,400 points and pull it off. It's just the breaks and the matchups that happen. So I wouldn't say I'm favored to keep rolling on, but we'll see.
Anything can happen.
Exactly.
So your team name and the GIF associated with your team name are quite intimidating. What's the backstory in your team name?
It is a legendary Saturday Night Live commercial featuring Tracy Morgan as the KCF Shredders, which was basically a bag of lettuce and mayo. And he coined the term that he is a big man and he needs a big shredder. So it fit Tracy Morgan at the time, and I feel it fits Derrick Henry right now.
How'd your team react when you shifted to the street fight mentality and changed your team name away from Clyde?
It seemed it still had ups and downs. There were some low points even after the change for a couple of weeks of struggling to put up any points, but we still had good results of somehow winning with sub 1,000 points at least once.
So Derrick Henry and Jonathan Taylor, they're gonna run you to the title, aren't they?
That's the angle. Yes. It's hope for that plus some Herbert and fill in the rest with the other guys.
Nice. How do your matchups look this week? Who's gonna light it up?
The avenue has to be through the running backs. Yes, between Henry against the Lions and Taylor against the Texans. That has to be the angle to go with. So the hope, basically, my hope relies a lot on the very important Titans and Lions game on Sunday. that Henry can run and then that they get ahead, so Henry continues to run, but Detroit has to throw is kind of the script that leads to more points on my side.
Nice. So this week you face Ross. He has a very well documented history of an impressive or dominating regular season and then totally blown it in the playoffs. So Corey's wrecked him twice after a nice season. Greg, Tank, and myself got him once. Are you excited to join the club this week?
I hope so. Yes. Can't wait. Right.
Nice. Any message specifically for Kevin this week?
Oh, there's been lots of messages for Kevin this week. Yes, he knows.
He knows.
Yeah.
All right. Any message for the rest of the league?
The rest of the league?
Mm-hmm.
No, I think my run here is well documented of where I stand with the rest of the league.
All right. Any final words?
Exciting. No. Can't wait. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's fucking go.
Yeah.